Romulus's eyes gleamed as he leaned a hip against the side of the cart. "Did you know your cheeks just flushed a shade of crimson to rival a damask rose?" he asked. "I suspect that a West Point cadet might be responsible for your alarming surge in blood pressure." She lifted her chin a notch. "I have no interest in any West Point cadet and never will." "Are you sure? You sounded pretty impressed with him the other day." "Then let me clarify," she said calmly. "The Earth will stop rotating, the moon will drop from the sky, and the sun will burn to ash before a man in uniform will ever appeal to me." And it was true. From the time she was old enough to crawl from her crib and take notice of the world, she had witnessed army wives being abandoned by their husbands and children raised with no fathers. As a child, there were years Evelyn couldn't even remember her father's face. The best she could do was recall the scent of starch from his scratchy uniform. "No need to supply all the details of the apocalypse," Romulus said. "Let's get these bricks carted to the backyard." The rest of the morning was spent perched on a bench, giving Romulus instructions for digging a shallow trench and laying out the bricks according to the plans sent by Clyde. Being female had few compensations, but she was prepared to take full advantage of the excusal from manual labor. Romulus shed his shirt and donned a pair of work gloves as he began cutting into the sod. As much as she adored Romulus, he was family and could never fill the hollow part of her heart that longed for a man in her life. The only men she met at West Point were in the army and destined to lead the same kind of itinerant life as her father. She wanted to meet other young men who were interested in the same things she was, men she would be free to court or someday marry. "Could I come visit you sometime at Harvard?" she asked impulsively. "You know, I love going to the lectures, and I wouldn't mind meeting some of your friends." Romulus straightened, then sank the tip of the shovel firmly into the ground. He swiped the sweat off his face and peered at her through his still swollen black eye. "Which of my friends do you want to meet? The young and handsome ones?" Romulus could always read her like a book, and it was embarrassing. "Good looks don't matter," she said. "I'd like to meet someone who is intellectually curious, someone who likes to tinker with things and likes a good challenge, someone who'd be willing to install a generator or a waterfall to see if we can create an environment for hummingbirds." Romulus grinned as he started shoveling again. "Someone like Clyde Brixton?" "Someone like Clyde Brixton without the looming army career. He'd be perfect but for that." "Did someone say my name?" Evelyn gasped, for there was Clyde standing beside the greenhouse with a bag of sand precariously balanced on one shoulder. If the earth could have split open and swallowed her whole, she would have been happy, for if the widening of Clyde's smile was any indication, he'd heard everything she'd said about him. Romulus saved her, tossing down the shovel and brushing the grit from his hands. "If you were selling something, we're not interested. If you were the engineering cadet from West Point who was going to install an electric generator for our greenhouse, let me scatter rose petals in your path." Clyde grinned, leaning over to let the heavy bag of sand roll from his shoulder and thump on the ground. "I'm the guy who sent you all those bricks, and the brick pad will last longer if we add a layer of sand before you set the bricks, so I brought a bag. I knocked, but the maid said you were out here." He looked at Evelyn with curiosity. "What were you saying about me just now?" The heat in her cheeks grew. She cleared her throat and nodded to his note. "I was saying how I appreciated your instructions for making the brick palette. They were very clear." He beamed at her with an impossibly blue gaze. She hoped he wouldn't challenge her, for what could she say? That she'd been thinking of him almost nonstop for the past 3 days? That she'd never met another young man she'd felt so instantly attuned to? "Good," he said. "Can I stay and help?"